Hey everyone, the Fed just announced something huge about DLT and blockchain, and you're not going to believe this. Ripple and XRP are front and center. I mean, this is big. Now look, I know this clip dropped yesterday, but hold on because there's fresh news today that ties directly into what you're about to see. We've got to start here first, otherwise today's update won't make any sense. Listen to this.
Good morning. All right. Well, thank you, Susan, and good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Federal Reserve Board for our first Payments Innovation Conference. My objective in creating this conference is twofold. First, I wanted to have a conference that focused on the new technologies that have come from the DeFi and crypto worlds and how they are entering into the mainstream payments ecosystem. My goal is to have a vibrant discussion about payments between traditional payment incumbents and the new entrants from the DeFi world. Second, I wanted to send a message that this is a new era for the Federal Reserve in payments. The DeFi industry is not viewed with suspicion or scorn. Rather, today, you are welcome to the conversation on the future of payments in the United States and on our home field, something that would have been unimaginable a few years ago. My view for the Fed from now on is embrace the disruption. Don't avoid it. As you know, we are well into a technology-driven revolution in payments, and I'm here to say that the Federal Reserve intends to be an active part of that revolution. A number of technological advances are transforming the payment system. Stablecoins and tokenized assets, making use of distributed ledger technology. The rapid adoption of artificial intelligence AI, and increasingly the convergence between these innovations and the traditional financial ecosystem. This includes the institutions and infrastructure that our economy has long depended on to operate a safe and efficient payment system. And yes, this also includes the Federal Reserve. The revolution in transforming payments is demanding change everywhere. And I will say more in a moment about some new ideas that the Federal Reserve is studying to support those innovations. I have spoken before of what I see as the two broad models of payments innovation in our market economy. The first is private sector-driven innovation. Most innovation comes from the private sector, which is motivated and best positioned to allocate resources and take risk with new technologies. The second model is when public sector entities, such as the Fed, build platforms and provide services that enable the private sector to more readily and rapidly expand new services to its customers. This should be done rarely and in limited circumstances where it addresses a specific market need. The posture of public institutions, including the Federal Reserve, should be to acknowledge and embrace private sector innovation that can improve the payment system while preserving its safety and stability, which are as essential to the new generation of innovators as they are to legacy institutions. Now let me pull back a moment and remind everyone how we got here. Since nearly its founding, the Federal Reserve System has worked to facilitate payment and settlement system efficiency alongside the private sector. From the beginning, the clearing services provided by the reserve banks obviated the need for daily movements of cash in armored cars with heavily armed guards. Long before we started speaking of the payment rails that are facilitating the kind of innovation we're discussing today, the Fed was running trains on steel rails to deliver and clear paper checks traveling across the country. Fedwire began conducting interbank transfers through telegraph wires in the early 20th century. Fast forward today, where we have multiple infrastructures that settle interbank transfers in real time. Today's conference will focus on private sector-driven innovation. We have assembled 100 private sector innovators who are leveraging cutting-edge technology to create new possibilities in the payments landscape. Our panelists are engaging in integrating traditional financial payment rails with distributed ledgers, developing new products and services in the digital asset ecosystem, and leveraging AI in the payment system. It's worth noting that the firms engaged in these activities include banks, asset managers, retail payment firms, technology companies, as well as crypto-native fintechs. This is an acknowledgement that distributed ledgers and crypto assets are no longer on the fringes, but are increasingly woven into the fabric of the payment and financial system.
The Federal Reserve's recent proposal of a skinny master account is highly relevant for Ripple and XRP ecosystem. This initiative, announced by the Fed Governor Chris Waller, would allow legally qualified fintech companies, including Ripple, to gain direct access to the Fed's payment infrastructure. Currently, only charter banks have the privilege. If Ripple's banking application hits a wall, and I'm not predicting that, but just hypothetically speaking, this becomes their backup route. Or picture this. The Fed reviews all these fintech applications and decides, all right, we're shutting down the banking license track for you folks. But wait, there's another entrance over here you can use. What's actually interesting is that the Fed is testing out brand new bridges to link this modern blockchain technology with our old banking system. So what does all this mean for Ripple and XRP? The Skinny Master account enables Ripple to directly integrate its stablecoin RLUSD and XRP liquidity into its US payment rails without requiring intermediary banks. This means Ripple's payments can clear and settle in real time, faster and at lower costs. Ripple applied for a Fed Master account earlier in 2025, and this proposal aligns with its goal to better connect blockchain settlements with traditional financial systems. The limited access account offers the essential payment functionalities used by banks, but excludes borrowing and earning interest, which lowers regulatory risk for the Fed and opens up regulated blockchain players like Ripple. Ripple's recent acquisition of G Treasury, a corporate treasury management platform, and its institutional initiatives like Evernorth, which aim to manage over $1 billion in XRP liquidity, position it to leverage the direct Fed's infrastructure access for broader institutional adoption. Access to the Fed's payment rails reduces reliance on partner banks, potentially increasing transaction speed, security, and legitimacy for Ripple stablecoin RLUSD and XRP usage. This regulatory pathway could accelerate blockchain-based payments becoming mainstream and supports Ripple's argument for RLUSD as a payment instrument. So here's what's really fascinating. Ripple could literally just sidestep all of these partners if they wanted to, right? Because look at how this works. Right now, these partners are the gatekeepers. They're sitting there making decisions like, all right, should we go with Ripple and XRP for this one? Or maybe Circle looks better? Or wait, there's another option over here we could try. They get to pick and choose because they've got relationships with all these different players. But here's the game changer. If Ripple establishes these direct pathways, guess what happens? They can jump right past all that. Any customers Ripple brings to the table directly, straight shot through Fed rails. That's actually pretty powerful when you think about it, right? That would basically give Ripple way more influence in this whole ecosystem. And honestly, isn't that what we've all been keeping an eye out for? Plus, you've got to keep in mind, remember the Federal Reserve, David Dofato, confirmed Ripple's protocol can coexist with the US payment system. This came out a while back, probably a few months ago at this point. Listen to this.
David, fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
I'm one of the fellows who raised his hand when you asked who uses Ripple, Joe and myself. And I just want to say, it's very... I'm very happy to see that someone at the St. Louis Fed respects it at the very least. And I'm sure that from all the good things you said about it, many people in this room would like to hear more. But you mentioned that you foresee peer-to-peer currency-agnostic payment clearance systems such as Ripple coexisting with institutions such as central banks in the United States. And my question is, how are we going to see that happen? What is it going to take?
So thank you very much. And, all the nice things I said about Ripple, everybody knows to short it. Well, how do I see it? I mean, like you said, Ripple is a currency agnostic platform. It really doesn't care too much about creating and managing its money supply, although it does have its native money supply. So, it's doing, the way I exposited the idea, Ripple is handling the processing of payments for many of the world's unbanked people, okay? And that the Fed is one institution that's providing a type of currency that people could use as payment using the Ripple protocol. But there may be other currencies. There could be Bitcoin, there could be the yen. So, I see room for coexistence. I see it today. I don't see any reason to doubt why it might not continue in the future.
Banks using Bitcoin? Yeah, that's not happening. We've been through this already. Look, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but think about it. Where's the KYC? Where's the AML? There's literally no compliance framework. Nothing. Show me one bank or financial institution actually building their payment rails on Bitcoin. Go ahead, I'll wait. Because I genuinely don't know of any. Now, sure, you've probably got some banks out there that'll process Bitcoin transactions for you, but making it their core payment system? Absolutely not. That's a no from them. NASDAQ. We are seeing institutional interest expand beyond Bitcoin to tokens like XRP. Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Listen to this.
I also think it's encouraging, Nick, that we're seeing it broaden out beyond Bitcoin and we're starting to understand the fundamentals and other applications when you think about the institutional use cases for the digital asset space.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that the early kind of mover in this was Bitcoin particularly. But the way that I really like to see this is we're building a new financial wallet system. So if you picture tomorrow's wallet, we've got Bitcoin. So they're the digital gold. They sit inside and act as this finite supply, borderless transactions, and really self-custodied with a password, not a vault. Whether you're hedging inflation or sort of dodging local currency turmoil, very censorship resistant store of value. And then you've got Ethereum. So that's the app platform. So Ethereum's the wallet's app store, smart contracts so that you trade, borrow, or earn yield without a bank. And owning ETH is really just like holding gas in a global financial operating system, one that's open source and runs 24/7. Then you've got XRP. So they're the cross-border bridge. And XRP works really behind the scenes as that instant FX bridge. So banks convert dollars to XRP, beam it abroad in 3 seconds, and cash it out in local currency, potentially cutting remittance fees from 7% to under 1%. And then you've got Solana, the high-speed rail. So Solana provides the commuter rail, really hundreds of transactions per second with very tiny fees. So your subway tap, in-game purchase, or loyalty point redemption could all ride on the Solana rails without you even noticing. Then we've got stablecoins. Stablecoins such as USDC act as tokenized dollars, really clearing anytime, anywhere, and fully backed by short-term treasuries. And they really marry crypto speed with the safety of US debt, turning your phone into sort of this real-time dollar account that you can spend worldwide. So this is really a suite of products that have very specific functions that are reimagining the entire financial stack, and it's really opening back up.
Okay, so we're absolutely drowning in positive news about the crypto sitting in our portfolio right now. I mean, look at this gem right here. Archax, the true potential of tokenized assets lies in their utility, which will drive a new wave demand for world assets. All right, let's jump into this and see what they're saying.
So the fact that, I mean, you need to be able to use tokens like BlackRock's BUIDL, Franklin Templeton's Benki, across DeFi for them to become useful. They can't be just logged off to, KYC, accredited investors and just, not be able to plug them into Avid.
I think the utility is the key point here. So institutions need money market funds. Individuals can hold them too. People in crypto, when they want to go risk off, previously all they could do is hold stables. Arguably, I'd say that wasn't even risk off. If you go risk off now and you can hold Wisdom Tree or Benji or whatever it may be, then you're suddenly earning a yield on your money. So you're earning a decent return if rates are high. And to Patrick's point there's obviously this concept of looping. If you want to, you can use something like Aave Horizon to borrow against it and reinvest into it to generate extra yield. And taking one of these blue chip names and being able to generate higher single digit returns is pretty interesting for a project that's going risk off. And I think it's back to the demand point from the start. The only reason we're not seeing demand is because of the utility. Wisdom Tree is still selling, so are Benji, and that's without a lot of the utility. But now you've got things like Aave Horizon coming, you've got DEXs, you've got people working on 24/7 liquidity where on a Saturday afternoon, a hedge fund can be risk off into a money market fund and immediately go and buy Bitcoin. Those sorts of use cases are really going to start pushing the demand for RWA. And just one quick additional one. In terms of the winning ones, stable coins without a doubt change the world. Digital cash and digital assets being on the same technology has revolutionized this space. But I also think equities are going to start coming soon. You've got a lot of people out there, let's say they're holding NVIDIA. If it was tokenized and you could borrow against it on something like Aave, you don't have to worry about your cash gain. You can get liquidity. You could just start making your portfolio more efficient.
So
I think there's definitely something off with that, dude. I honestly should have been dying laughing at that. Sorry about that. All right, so Nick Rossi drops this gem. My takeaway from this, highly bullish on index-based and activity-managed crypto ETFs. No way TradeFi investors ready to navigate all of these single tokens. They're going to take a diversified shotgun approach to emerging asset classes. Seems obvious. So check out what we're dealing with here. You've got this entire buffet of different tokens spread out. There's Crow chilling with 1 bonk, Trump coin near protocol holding down 2, BNB claiming 3, plus AVAX, Doge, DOT rolling through. We're legitimately about to discover what catches fire and what completely face plants. Just because you see products launching for particular tokens, don't start assuming those products are destined to blow up and succeed. Listen, there are going to be some massive winners in this space, but honestly, a ton of people are going to get burned. Just want you to keep that real clear in your head. So look at this right here. Gumi announces investment into XRP alongside Japan banking giant SBI. $17 million worth company by company, ... XRP becomes a global reserve asset. Evernorth, check. Oh man, look at that right there. This is exactly what I want to see happening. All right, folks, that wraps it up for today. I really appreciate you spending your time here with me. Tell me in the comments, what's your honest take on this new skinny master account from the Fed? Is this actually going to open up more utility for XRP holders? And then, of course, our RLUSD connecting directly into the US Federal Reserve payment system, the brand new one. I'm genuinely excited about where this whole thing is moving. I'll keep you in the loop with all the breaking news and updates. Make sure you hit that follow button, smash subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss anything. Feel free to drop a comment down there, throw a like on the video, or pass it along to somebody who needs to see this. You guys mean the world to me. Go out and have yourself a killer week.